Hi guys, today I'll show you how I make this beautiful open crumb sourdough. I'm not an expert, so there's definitely improvements to be made, and I'm very grateful quarantine really let me explore baking. The recipe I followed is from Foolproof Baking, and I will link her video in the description below. I doubled the recipe, so I started off with 510 grams of bread flour, 140 grams of whole wheat flour, and 506 grams of water. You'll mix that all together and make sure that there are no dry spots left, and autolyze for 2 to 4 hours. After the autolyze period, I added 150 grams of leaven that I activated and fed regularly for 2 days. It took me about 5 minutes to fully incorporate the leaven into the dough with my hands. Once I was satisfied that the leaven was well mixed, I let the dough rest for 30 minutes. As you can see, after resting the dough, it has more stretchiness to it. The next step is to add 15 grams of sea salt. I began by dipping it in and slowly mixed it by hand. I felt that my dough needed a little bit more water, and after about 5 minutes of mixing, it was ready to rest for another 30 minutes. After resting, I began to shape the dough on the counter that was already misted with water. To work with the dough easily, you'll want to wet your hands and stretch it to its full extent, but not to the point of tearing. To begin the lamination step, the counter must be moderately wet so the dough does not stick to the surface. If you are following these steps, you'll want to gently stretch the dough beginning from the middle outwards without tearing it to form a rectangle shape. As I understand, this step should help build more strength into the dough. Once finished, it'll need to rest for 45 minutes. I've done both stretch and folds and the coil method, but I found that the coil folds yielded the best results. While doing these folds, you'll want to pop any big bubbles you see on the surface. I definitely didn't get all of them, but that's okay. Between each coil fold, you'll want to rest the dough for at least 45 to 60 minutes. After the third coil fold, you'll want to rest the dough for 90 minutes, and then you could finally begin the shaping process. You'll want to lightly dust the top of the dough and the counter with flour before you begin shaping. The floured part of the dough will now become the bottom, and you won't need to add any more flour because you'll need to fold the dough over and have it stick together. After dividing the dough, I struggled a little bit with shaping it because it was much too rectangular than I was used to. As you can see, I tried to stretch the dough out a little bit to make it more of a square, but I was scared that I was handling it too roughly. I decided to just go with it and seal up the seams of the dough. To build more tension on the dough, I did these zigzag motions on the bottom, pulling from opposite sides and bringing it together in the middle. I believe that putting more tension or tautness on the surface of the dough helps create a better ear. Once the dough is ready to be fermented, you can place it in the fridge for 12 to 18 hours. Or if you want to bake it the same day, you can leave it out to proof for around 4 hours. If you decide to put it in the fridge, it develops more flavor and depth to the sourdough. It's been about 16 hours since I placed the dough in the fridge. I've already preheated my oven and placed the Dutch oven in there for 30 minutes. In terms of scoring, I think it's easiest when I follow the line that the cloth from the banneton leaves and use it as a guide. After scoring, I quickly placed the lid back on and baked for about 20 minutes. It's time for the big reveal. I was so happy with the oven spring on this loaf, and it's always nice to see a good ear. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know how you like it in the comments below.